And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios, we are happy to be here with you Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we are with you up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on multiple channels on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're tuned into the show, we thank you so much for being here with us. And of course, once we go live, you could find us in the archives by going to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. I hope Chuck Wilbur is listening here as we get him set, because there will be a test after this to see how much of this he remembers that you can get to us. Can he name them all? So we are happy to be on all of these wonderful channels. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping, giving you the list of topics for the day and guests. We will be joined in hour number one by longtime OCC Laser, and quite arguably one of the best, if not to you, the best coach that we have had in Central and Upstate New York when it comes to lacrosse. I mean, how many times does this guy have to win championships? So, I mean, it's insane. More titles than, think of all the coaches you know in Syracuse history, and then add a bunch of titles to that, because that is what Chuck Wilbur has done. I remember a long time ago, he had said something to me. He said, I get interviewed at the beginning of the season. I get interviewed when we win the national championship. What about in the middle? So it was always important to me to have Chuck on the show and to tell the story, because he deserved better, and so many people in Central and Upstate New York do. He's coming off winning a national award, and I'm just waiting for the more awards to come in. I can say this. He can be humble. I can say give him more. So Chuck Wilbur here with us today, CNS lacrosse, boys lacrosse head coach, and of course with OCC, the men's lacrosse head coach and multi-time national champion. In hour number two at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, Murray Johnson will join me from the Ben Schwartzwalder era, the mid-'60s of Syracuse football, and bring us into the history that he lived and all the way to now. Got a wonderful conversation coming up with Murray as well. So with that being said, Chuck Wilbur is picture in picture. Put some spec on his name. Happy to have you here, Chuck. How are you doing?
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
You know, I love how I do all of that intro. I give you all that love, and then here's humble Chuck just going, yep, thank you. But, I mean, come on. At some point, you know, there needed to be a recognition of this work. I know you don't need it. I know you don't need awards. I don't need awards. Lord knows the media is never going to give me one. But when we look at what you've done and what you've accomplished, to get an NJCAA Coach's Legacy Award, it's the first time they've ever given this award out. So as far as I know here, of any sport that they have ever given this honor, and nationally, junior college NJCAA that oversees this all, like the NCAA, when it comes to Division 1, 2, and 3, the NJCAA saying nationally, any sport, put them all together in a funnel, the name that comes out for this first ever Coach's Legacy Award, Chuck Wilbur. What does that mean to you that this is a first-time award, could be any sport whatsoever, and that nationally the NJCAA said, Chuck, you're the one that's going to torchbear this thing. You're the one that's going to bring this award into existence?
Well, I mean, it's obviously humbling. It's I know a lot of great coaches, players, teams that have gone before me and still continue today. So just knowing that, you know, you get that award is pretty humbling. But I also know it's a team award. I keep on saying that. All the individual accolades that a lot of our players have gotten and coaches have gotten over the years, it comes down to a lot of team success and a lot of really good players coming through the program, a lot of really good assistants, coaches helping me. So yeah, it's humbling for me, but I also know, in the grand scheme of things, it's about the team and all the teams over the years of the success we had and the boys that come through that became men here, and all the great things they have done after OCC. So, yeah, obviously my name's on it, but I also know, and I think everyone who was part of this program knows, it's another individual award that was given because of our team success.
Well, and you speak on that, and I respect that. And obviously, your student athletes, whatever you coach, they have to play the game, right? So, for all the work that they've done, when you look throughout history at your time at OCC, and you look at the student athletes that you've had, the assistant coaches that you've had, what were some of the things that just maybe stayed throughout? Some of those parallels that you could look to an assistant coach or look to a former player and say, you know what, at OCC, the culture that we were building, my guys had this. Are there a few things that link your players and your assistants throughout history to each other?
Yeah, I think a lot of them came here as stars of their high school programs, wherever they're coming from. They were the star of their team. The captain, the guy that scored all the points, the guy that was, the All-American. And they came here and they had to look around and say, man, I'm not just the best player on the team anymore. I'm one of many good players. And the other part of all that was getting kids to come here, and they're all coming here for a certain reason. They want to come here to further their education, hopefully get a scholarship out of here. Maybe something happened in school where grades weren't good. Maybe they, got really good late and they just had to go to OCC first, or financially couldn't afford to go to a 4-year school. But the main reason why they came here is to try to get education, become a good player, and hopefully get a scholarship out of here. So they had to come in here and be humble enough to say, okay, I just got to rely on everyone around me. I can't be the guy trying to score every goal. So we had to preach all the time, the family, the slogan of family, and it really was about the team success will get everyone opportunities after here. As long as we are winning as a group and the product looks what you want it to look like, it's team success, ball movement, it's a good lacrosse, where offense, defense is all playing together, and we win as a group, everyone will reap the rewards from that. And it's easy saying this now, but it's hard to do that as a young man coming in as 18-year-old, and they were the man in high school, and they had to come here, and they wanted to go to Syracuse University, so they wanted to score all the goals. But for them to come in and humble themselves, and the slogan family and the team aspect, to be able to put that around them and say, that's what I'm going to follow, these guidelines of what coach is saying, it says a lot about the young man who's coming here, because, mom and dad wants them scoring all the goals too, and to be able to have that in them to say, I'm gonna count on the team. I'm gonna count on making sure we're winning as a group. And the guys who've done it before us have done this, and they've had, the accolades and be able to move on. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna humble myself enough to do that as well. So I think that's the biggest thing about our program over the years, because it could very easily come in, and you've seen Last Chance U and all that, where kids come in and they need to be shown and they need to be the guy, and it blows up, and you don't have team success because of that. So to be able to have our assistant coaches, our players, because our assistant coaches were good enough to be head coaches anywhere they wanted to as well, but they didn't care about that as well. They just wanted to be part of this program and help these boys succeed, and that's what it was all about. And that's what really the biggest reason why we had success is two things: was we had talent, and they were humble enough to make it about the team and not themselves.
Yeah, and like you said, working together and working in tight spaces, right? You only have a couple years, you don't have 4, you have 2. Here's the funny thing. You look at JUCO and you say, you have half the time to build this team and try and prepare it to go after a national championship. But the irony is now with NIL and the transfer portal, now the Division I teams in the NCAA, they might have a year or two to build a team before it breaks up. So how strange has it been for you to see that there's a knock on JUCO when you're coaching, maybe saying, well, we don't have 4 years to build it, we have 2 years to build it, and this, that, and the third. And now you're seeing the NCAA, because of all these rule changes and things that they've allowed to come in to collegiate athletics now, that you don't really have a lot of schools that are building a 4-year program anymore.
Yeah, it really is. Everybody's become a JUCO school when it comes to, you have 1 year or 2 years for a team. I actually had a lot of good friends who are coaching at 4-year schools at different levels, D1, D2, D3. And they've reached out to me a lot now because they look at themselves kind of like a JUCO now, or a prep school. Like they really have a team together for 1 year. Yeah. And after that year, and that, football and basketball is crazy with it, but even lacrosse has now become that. And You literally have one team to make that team melt together and become a unit, and it's easier said than done. It's really really challenging, and you got to have the right group around you as coaches that are all preaching the same thing. And you got to have your leaders who are been there for a year or two preaching that same thing. If they're doing it, the younger guys will follow, but you got to make sure you have everyone surrounded preaching and saying the same thing. If not, it'll blow up in your face and you will never have team success.
Well, and having the success that you had and doing it in the times you do it, like you said, you have friends at all different levels in the NCAA calling you now because they view themselves as a JUCO because people are coming and going and not staying for 4 years. What is your advice? I mean, how did you do the things that you did in short order in such a short amount of time? I mean, we're looking at the fact that your accomplishments. You had 17 seasons at OCC. You went 266 and 15. I'm going to read that again because it's insane. You went 266 victories, 15 losses. And to see the level of success that you had, winning 11 championships within 13 seasons. So what is your advice on how to do it in a short amount of time?
I mean, it's a little bit of everything, really. It's mixing it all together in one bowl and let it stir it up. But the biggest thing is when they walk in the door, everything is about the team, the culture. It's not about, hey, Johnny just scored 5 goals. Let's give him a game ball. Like, we don't even say that. We talk about, Brian, who got 4 ground balls, and he practiced really well all week. And he might have got in there for 3 minutes of the game. We talk about him. We talk about all the blue-collar kids behind the scenes, the janitors, let's say, that really make things work, the glue guys that make things work. We don't preach about the guys who are scoring and the superstars. And, when you interview us after games, we didn't talk about Randy Stott scoring 7 goals and going to Syracuse. We talked about how much the other guys have done to help us win that day. So it was always about the team and all the guys behind the scenes making things work. We never gave out MVPs. We never gave out game balls. We never gave out, who's the best player stuff. We talked about the group. We talked about each guy doing their role, making sure what they do, it might be the smallest role possible. Maybe it's a minute in that game, but be great in that minute. And in practice, make sure everybody's pushing themselves to get better. If you're doing that, we promise you, as a group, Coach Wilbur, the rest of the coaches will make every phone call that needs to be made to make sure they're recruited after here. And we kept on preaching that. And I think over time, the proof was in the pudding, and the kids saw it, so they trusted you. And the trust was there with the staff. The trust was there with the players around you. Everyone trusted each other that we're all here to help each other get to where we want to be. And once that happened, the wins started, you won and you had success. And you saw when you played teams that were not doing that, you saw the teams that were very about themselves and them trying to get the scholarship. And, you saw it at the JUCO level more than you did, more than anything is you saw teams playing against a group of team against individuals. And we were playing a lot of individuals rather than a team.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm a firm believer that a team can beat a group full of individuals any day. And when we look at the history, speaking here with Chuck Wilbur, one of the greatest coaches you will see from any sport across the nation, and one, if we're ever going to have like busts made or statues made in downtown Syracuse, and we're just going to honor coaches, then you better be putting Wilbur next to that Boeheim name and that Schwartzwalder name, because there's a lot of good to be said here. I've met some great coaches in all different sports, including lacrosse, and Chuck Wilbur is one of those people that, to me, is definitely not only worth talking to today, but any day of the week, any time of the year. A lot of respect I have for you. Taking a look at your history, and by the way, was honored in Charlotte, was just in Charlotte myself, and so you were honored in Charlotte, recognized on Tuesday, June 17th at the Hilton Charlotte University Place Hotel. And this award once again recognized the all-time winningest coach in NJCAA history. This is the first time in nearly 90 years of the NJCAA that coaches have been recognized by the association in this way. Wilbur is a 1995 graduate of CNS and now has found himself full circle, which is awesome. A member of the school's Hall of Fame at CNS, and then went over to Herkimer County Community College. OCC will forgive you for that, Chuck, where he was a two-time All-American lacrosse player in 96 and 97. He was named the NJCAA National Player of the Year in 1997, and then went on to play at Hobart College in 98-99. Graduated from Hobart in 99, was the team's most valuable player and leading scorer that year. Joined OCC's athletic department in the season of 2001 to 2002, led the Lasers to their first national championship in 2006, defeating Suffolk County Community College 30-6 before proceeding to win 10 more national titles, and like I said, 11 in total, all within 13 seasons. Let's read them off, Chuck. Sit back and get comfortable because I got a few to read off here. 2006 defeated Suffolk County Community College, as I said, 30-6. 2007 over Nassau Community College 21-14. 2009 over Nassau Community College 9-8. 2010 over Nassau Community College 17-14. 2011 over CCBC Essex 12-9. 2012 over Nassau Community College 15-6. 2013 over Nassau Community College 15-11. 2014 over Nassau Community College 12-7. 2015 over CCBC Essex 16-8. 2017 over Howard Community College 15-14, and 2018 over Nassau Community College 11-9. That overall record on top of all the national championships I just read, once again 266 and 15, which is again crazy, and won 17 consecutive mid-state athletic conference championships, 14 consecutive Region 3 championships in the NJCAA, and guided the Lasers to their longest win streak in college lacrosse history with 107 straight wins from March 30th, 2010 to yesterday. No, I'm kidding. To March 5th, 2016. That's insane. That is insane. That is almost a calendar 6 years of not having a loss. March 30th, 2010 to March 5th, 2016. And Wilbur was named the NJCAA Lacrosse Coaches Association National Coach of the Year in 2006, 7, 9, 11, 13, 17, and 18 in June of 2017. After Wilbur earned his 10th national title, the Board of Trustees voted to rename the David W. Murphy Field at Laser Stadium to the Chuck Wilbur Field. Man, I got to drink some water after that, Chuck. So, I mean, that's incredible. And I know you, your student athletes, your coaches, your family, the people all around you, absolutely incredible what you've all done together. But, I mean, Chuck, that's like 17 lifetimes in one person. Do you ever look back at this stuff? I mean, has it ever sunk in? Has it ever hit you? Like, do you ever go into the SRC arena and look up and just see all those banners and be like, yeah, those are mine? Like, I mean, this is... You obviously don't, I mean, at this point, have you run, well, let's think here. If you have 10 fingers and 10 toes, you still have like a couple toes to put some CNS stuff on. So, I mean, but I mean, this is incredible, Chuck, and we've talked about it while it was happening. Sat in your office when some of these championships were coming in. But, I mean, Chuck, who does it better, in my opinion? Credit to you and everybody that's helped along the way, but I don't think there's enough words in our vernacular that could look at that list and fully describe what an incredible feat that is.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you do. Like during it, you didn't even think about it. You were so worried about the next year. So you won, and 2 days later, you're like, okay, how do we win next year? How do we be as good as next year? So you never really, I never enjoyed it. Like 2006 to 18 when we were winning, like I enjoyed it that day we won. It was like a relief. But you never enjoyed it, throughout because it was just a grind. You just wanted to be as good. You wanted the boys to be as good because you wanted them to have those accomplishments so they can move on. So there's always felt the pressure of making sure we were as good or better. You always want to be better than the previous year. You thought everyone else was going to be better. So you never enjoyed it. But like after it was over and you look around and you do see the banners, it sets in. You're like, man, what a great run that was. And a lot of faces come across your memory of the different people that were all part of it. And it was special. It was a special group of kids that came through the program, who became men that while they were here, and watching them flourish after here. Like, there's guys who were playing professional still, the Thompson brothers and Cody Jamison and some of those guys who came through the program, and watching them with families now and all the success as professionals now, it's just eye-opening. And you're like, man, that was an incredible run, and you're just proud of it. You're just proud of everything that was accomplished during that time.
When you look at the coaching tree, so to speak, like when you look back on your student athletes, and like you said, any of my assistant coaches could have been head coaches anywhere else, is that the most rewarding thing when you see what these student athletes and these coaches end up doing after being with you? Like, be it if they coach or being a dad or owning a business, getting married and whatnot. I mean, when you essentially look at who these national champions have become post the national championship, what sticks out to you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that. Like, I get pictures daily. Hey, coach, I'm a dad now. Hey, look what I did. Like, what's going on? Hey, I just got a job. I'm a CEO at something. And you're like, this kid barely got out of high school, and he came here, and the light bulb went off, and you watch him mature, and to see what they have, 3 kids, and he's very successful. You look at their houses now, you're like, man, this kid came from, nothing, and was really trying to figure out life when he got here, and could have went in 2 different directions, and he took the right path. And to watch where they are now, that's what it's all about. Yes, the trophies are all great, and you walk by the banners, you're like, yeah, that was pretty cool. But like watching them, these guys who came here looking for life, almost looking for a direction, just kind of confused, where to go in life, and watching them figure it out here and watch them succeed after here is so rewarding. And now I'm actually coaching, in the high school ranks. I'm starting to coach against kids who played for us, and now they're coaches at, different places. Ballinsville, Andy Lamb, who's great, they won state championships, and Andy's one of the head assistant coaches there. Like, it's so rewarding watching them coach against them. You're sure you want to beat them for those 2 hours you're playing against them, but you're just so proud of these young men now, where they came from and where they are now, and watching them all give back. There's so many coaches now in the ranks that started at OCC. They played here, and they're coaching in college level, Division I, Division II, JUCO, high school. It's just watching them all coach, and they all come back. And if you see them coming back to coach, that means we did something right here, because they still love the game, and they want to give back to the game, and they want to help young men or young boys become men. So that's really what's the most rewarding thing of all this, is just watching the maturation of a young boy becoming a man and figuring out life, and watching them succeed now with what they're doing.
And in that respect, to that vein, what does OCC do? Like you said, this kid barely made it out of high school, and now here he is, running a company. On the student side and on the athlete side, what do you think OCC provides?
It provides you to grow. I know just a lot of young men who, they got to, in high school, they got themselves in a slum. They're embarrassed. There's so much going through a boy's life at 15, 16. Puberty's hitting. They just, there's so much things going on. Parents might be separating. There's a lot of stressful stuff for a kid who's coming through the ranks of high school, and they come here for that second chance of, I got to figure this out, and I got to do things the right way this time around. It's like a fresh, clean start. And some of them start going down the road again that they got them in trouble in the first place, academically. And then you got to reel them back in and make sure they remember what the end goal, and keep them really just making sure that they keep the eye on the prize almost, and keep them motivated. And I think that's what OCC does. It gives you a second chance, gives you a second opportunity. And again, and not everyone came here because of academics. Like, people think, it's just because, the kid wasn't a smart kid. Like, we had the #1 valedictorian, who actually from Hawaii, his same school as Barack Obama when he went to school in Hawaii. I forget the name of the high school, but he came here, and he was number one in the class. He didn't come here because of grades. He came here because no one saw him in Hawaii, and he knew if he went to OCC, someone's going to see him play, and he's going to have a chance. He actually got a Division I scholarship, went to Furman. He was a captain there, first Hawaiian lacrosse player to ever go Division I, and he started here. And his name is Lincoln Lissemeyer. But reality is, like, people all put it in a box. Oh, he's just, kid's not good in school. He's not smart. He doesn't take SATs. He has to go to OCC. And that's far from the truth. People come here for different reasons. And sometimes it's financial. Maybe the parents don't have any money. And they don't have the money to give them to go to a four-year school, and financially it doesn't help. But the main thing is they come here and they grow as people, and they figure out life. And they figure out what they want to be and who they want to be.
Yeah.
And when it's all said and done, it's the biggest bridge to get to becoming a man and having a family and having a career. And really, you see it over and over. It's not just lacrosse. You see it from all the students I work with and some of the other student athletes. You see it everywhere, and it's such a great place to just kickstart your life and figure out your direction you want to go in and helping you get to where you want to be.
And I can appreciate and respect that, and I love that message, and I'm sure OCC appreciates that tremendously coming from your heart. Chuck Wilbur here with us, longtime OCC men's lacrosse head coach, following receiving the NJCAA's first ever Coach's Legacy Award of any sport in their 90-year history, to honor Chuck nationally and to see all the work that he has done and all the things that we've read off today. Chuck, before I started my company, I was working at a radio station. And I'll leave it unnamed. You know it. And when I was working at that station, the person who considered themselves to be important, I guess, there, I went into his office. He asked me to have a meeting. We never spoke. Shut the door in my face when I got hired. And I went into the office, and they said, "When are you going to get it?" I said, "When am I going to get what? When are you going to understand that there's only one ship in town? There's only one school to cover. That's Syracuse. What you do with OCC, Lemoyne, and Oswego is cute. But, who cares about it?" I got up from that meeting. I asked him if he wanted the chair pushed in or not, and I walked out. The day that I decided to leave that radio station, you remember this, and Tom McDonald remembers this, I said I can have anybody on my show, in person or on the line. I don't want anybody else, and I don't want you on the phone. I want you sitting here in the studio with me. And at a station with nothing going on, total silence, the lights were shut off, you and I and Tom sat in that one room and had a conversation. And you said, "Why us?" And back then, I said, "Why not? Why wouldn't I?" And Chuck, I hope that some people's hearts and minds have been changed or will be changed, that it's not cute to cover OCC. It's not cute to cover Lemoyne, cute to cover Oswego. People in this community work really hard. The entire country just honored you. And whether that had ever happened, Chuck, I hope you and Tom know that if I could go back in time to whatever it was, April of 2012, I would have had you two sitting there every single time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it says a lot about what you do every day with the high school kids, covering high school programs. I see all the stuff you've done with Lemoyne. I see, obviously I know what you did for OCC when Rob Edson days. And that's the difference with you and a lot of other people. I mean, you open up doors for people that, are tough to sell or market their school or sell the kids what great things they're doing. So that's the difference. I think that's why you got followers, and that's why people listen to your show, because it's a different. Again, Syracuse, we know is unbelievable. I'm a Syracuse fan. I follow everything, and that's the heartbeat of Syracuse, Central New York. But there's a lot of other great things, a lot of other great high school programs. There's a lot of great colleges in this area that are doing some pretty cool things too. That I think you understood that from the get-go, and that's why a lot of people are following you, and that's why I'm still a big fan of you.
Well, I appreciate the support. Today's not it has nothing to do with me. I said that for you to say, that I look back at that time and I was like, I want Chuck and Tom, and you guys were like, "We'll do it," but like, why? And I was like, dude, why not? And sitting in that room and just having you both there, like that last day when I decided, hey, I'm moving on. I gotta figure this thing out. And I ended up starting my company. I was 26 at the time, and now the company's 13 years old. Looking back on that, like I got to walk out of that building with Tom. Like I got to, not I had to, but I got to walk out of that building with Tom McDonald and Chuck Wilbur. And
Seems like a lifetime ago. Jeez,
I know
2012, doesn't it?
I will say this though, with all the banners and all the like the pennants, the banners, the signs, whatever they are, all the banners, all the t-shirts, all the rings. Can I get something, Chuck?
We've got it. Yeah, we'll get you something. We got to put something in the back over in that wall. I got some leftover things, that posters and everything else. So we got to get it hung up somewhere. So yeah, you 100% deserve one, and we'll find a way to get it to you.
Because I will say, and this is no knock at all. I will just say this: I had a coach keep their word. I've been covering the team for a long time. CBA is my alma mater, and I've been covering CBA football. I know Casey very well, and obviously Casey teaches up at CNS. And
yeah, he's the modified lacrosse coach for us too. So
yeah.
He coaches our modified team, which he does a great job with.
So I will say this about Casey. I said to him in 2023 at the end of the season, I said, dude, how many championships y'all got to win for like me to get a ring, that I've been around this team and been with you guys for so long? And he looked at me and he goes, the next one we win, you got it.
Really?
I said, I'm going to hold you to that. I said, I'm going to hold you to that, Casey. He said, the next time we win, you got it. So I told Kyle Robinson, who designs the rings and is on staff, and he goes, hey, whatever the boss man says.
Wow, there you go. Good for you.
And if you look on the side of it, it says Tortora and it says DT.
That's awesome.
So all I'm saying is your modified coach hooked me up. So when y'all win a title, Chuck, I'm coming.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's hopefully, if that's the plan, we will. If we do something special like that, you'll be getting a phone call.
Yeah, but Chuck, I do want to say, and obviously this plays to our friendship, which more than anything else, I appreciate. I get excited like a little kid when I see one of my people get honored. And when I say my people, I mean people that have just always been good to me. All three. It doesn't matter the sport. It doesn't matter how many wins and losses. I mean, in your case, you are the all-time this, that, and the third, but it's the human being that you are. And when I saw you get honored, when I saw this come across, I'm like, okay, not only do I owe Chuck a phone call, but I have to have the opportunity to speak with him on this. You are just a good, salt of the earth human being. You have always been consistent with me. You've always made time. And I think that beyond all of the accolades and the wins and the rings and all of that stuff, it's all great. But I think people should know that Chuck Wilbur, the person, is consistent, humble, kind, hardworking, dedicated, and you build bridges and you take care of those bridges. So I just want to speak to that. I'm sure your players can say that. I'm sure your assistant coaches can say that. But as someone who's had the opportunity and the blessing from God to cross paths with you, I don't know many people better at being as consistently good as you are. And I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that, Dan. It means a lot coming from you. And, right when you emailed me, I was quick to answer, let's go. And I usually don't like talking about awards with myself and all that stuff. But obviously, coming from you, I quickly jump on anytime.
Well, you have a lot to be proud of, a lot to be thankful for. I know that all of this that we talked about happening in NJCAA, that's in your time at OCC. But, the funny thing is, you're not the only coach that has stepped away from a program and people are like, oh, are they retiring? Maybe you say the word retirement, you toy with the word retirement. You're one of those people where I'm like, no, he's not retiring. And so you being at CNS and back at your alma mater and leading this program, I'm not surprised at all. How has it challenged you uniquely from the college world to be at CNS? What has been this new chapter for you, and how has it asked Chuck Wilbur to find a few more tools in the toolbox, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, college was, I wouldn't say easier, but if you're a good recruiter, you can get good quick. Like if you can make a few phone calls and you get one or two to jump on ship, and then this one or two are here, it starts spreading and more people start coming in. That's kind of what happened with us. Like you just made phone calls and you were persistent, and people, I think, believed in me. So it was a good recruiting opportunities, and we grew like that. Where high school, it's all about development, and it could take 20 years. I mean, look at West Tennessee and FM. The reason why they're so successful, they've been doing the same thing for 50, 60, 70 years. And the moms, dads, grandfathers, great grandfathers are all play lacrosse. So there's lacrosse in their blood. Whereas CNS, it wasn't a lacrosse factory. It's not a lacrosse factory. We had a couple good teams in the late 90s, couple okay teams in the 2000s, but it was never a lacrosse factory. It's great in a lot of sports. I think it's the only sport there, a boys sport, I know that has never won a sectional championship. So lacrosse is not a big thing at CNS. We've had some good players come through the program, but it wasn't, consistently competing every year. We're in the hardest league in the country for public schools. So you got West Tennessee, you got Baldwinsville, Liverpool, FM. Those four schools alone are ranked in the top 20 in the country yearly. So CNS is a program that, like, we have to develop it almost from the bottom up. And our youth programs are doing a really good job. And we're starting to reap the rewards. The last couple of years, we're starting to flirt with, having success. We're beating some teams that they've never beaten before. But it's one of those things that you have to keep on doing development of young men for over time. And you start them in 5th, 6th grade, and you hope when they become a varsity player that they're ready to go. So it's one of those things you can't get good overnight. You can't just go out and get the best players and recruit them and come. You literally have to develop them over time. And again, we've done it now. This is our 4th year coming up, and you're starting to see success. The younger group, the 2027 group, 2026 group, the 2028 group. You see a lot of really good players starting to come through the system that are going to go Division I. Adrian Sweeney, who might be one of the best players in the area, 2027 kid who come September 1 is probably getting Syracuse and Maryland and Cornell calling them. CNS hasn't had a lot of those type of kids. Jack Putman's coming through the system. We got Quinn Eppie, who just signed with St. Bonaventure. Donovan Chaney, who just signed with Lemoyne. So you're starting to see these kids go to Division I schools, which wasn't a thing at CNS. We might have had one or two really good players, and the rest were, guys who picked up a lacrosse stick in March. Well, now we have lacrosse kids playing 12 months a year, and that's really the difference of seeing the success. Again, we'll see what happens over the next couple of years, but we like our chances just because you start to see the kids coming up and playing lacrosse 12 months a year and kind of lacrosse junkies, and which hasn't been the case at CNS. And I think we got a nice group over the next few years coming up.
Well, and like you said, coming up through the system, you want to have that continuity. You talked about Casey being your modified guy, Casey Brown, also the head coach at CBA football. How is it working with Casey, and have you ever had to tell him that he needs to do things a little bit differently, change it up? Have you ever cracked the whip on Mr. Brown?
No, he's perfect for a modified program because he gets a good lacrosse guy around him, and he does the great coaching and keeping things organized. And I pick his brain. Like I said, he gets the whole high school background. I'm still learning it, how to be successful in high school. And I'm always checking with Casey, hey, what do you think? What's going on? How do you like the program? What should we do different? So he's great to have in my corner building this program, because you can learn a lot from somebody that knows how to get it done. And, the state championships, and even before state championships, he's had success. And be able to pick his brain and understand what he does to have that success, it's very rewarding, especially at the high school level. Like I said, the college level, you kind of figure it out over time. This high school level, you're still figuring it out. And having Casey around definitely helps us.
Well, and for you, when you are being challenged by this and this opportunity that you have at CNS at your alma mater, you said this is the best. Like when it comes to high school lacrosse, this is the toughest we're going to play in the country. Like these are the best teams. What makes you believe that? I mean, you have a pulse of the country, right? Because of all the work that you've done and the things that you've seen over time in lacrosse. But what makes you believe that there is no tougher group of teams, high school wise, than here in Central New York?
It's consistency. Every year, West Tennessee has competed for a state championship over time. I'm saying Ballsville was a year ago, 2 years ago, they won two in a row. FM has always been a premier program. Liverpool had a great couple teams the last couple of years, and some really good groups coming through. But over time, I recruited this whole country and outside the country, and I know, obviously there's some private schools and prep schools that are in the Maryland's areas that are very high in lacrosse. But as public schools go, you got 5 teams that are always ranked in the top 20 in the state, and that doesn't really happen too often in leagues. Usually you have a couple, cream puffs in your league that you beat up on. They're 0-10, and you got 1 or 2 really good teams. But all 5 teams every year are in the top 20 in the state. And like I told you before we came on, you could have a really good team go 0-8 in our league. And Liverpool, I don't know if they won in our league last year, but they beat everybody else. They went in non-league games. They killed everybody else. They beat teams from Vestal and teams that are premier teams from other areas. And in our league, they didn't win. So that goes and shows you, they can go out of this league and beat up everybody, but as soon as they get in the league play, they lost. A lot of them were close games, but they were losing. And I know that situation because a couple years before that, we were in that situation at CNS where we left our league, we won. As soon as you go back in the league, it was murder's row again. So it is a really, really hard league, and you have premier players coming out all the time, and you got premier teams. And like I said, the proof's in the pudding with West Jenny and FM and Bevo and multiple state championships. And it's a difficult challenge, but it's fun too. It's fun every day. You got to have your A game. You're going to lose.
Yeah, definitely a new challenge. Has this? I mean, I don't know if anything needs to invigorate you at this point, but has it lit a different fire or more of a fire under you to say, yes, we did all these things. We won nationally. I've recruited all over the country and outside of the country when I was in the college world. Now this is a different challenge like you have spoken about. So has this given you a different fire in your belly? Has it reignited something to you? Does it even have to, because lacrosse is such a part of everything that you do? I mean, how do you look at this opportunity with CNS?
Yeah, in 2018 when I stepped down, there was a fire that was burning. It was pretty intense. Every year I was pretty intense. My life was surrounded about how we're gonna win.
Yeah.
And it was almost and I started having family and kids, and I was like, I gotta take a step back from this because I gotta put my time into my family, because if not, I'm never gonna be able to juggle it, because there was such a burning fire to be win, and win championships and help these boys succeed. So I had to take a step back because I was like, I'm never gonna be a good father if I continue doing this. So it was time to take a step back. And then, your kids start playing and they're coming up through the CNS program, and you kind of got reeled in. And I was doing a summer camp, and all of a sudden it turned into me being the head coach. So I think the first few years, of course you always get a fire when you're a coach and you're competitive and you see the kids compete. But I also knew it was we weren't ready quite yet those first couple of years. We were building this thing to try to compete with some incredible teams and programs, but this past year the fire is starting to get hot again, and because I know that we're at the level now where you kind of start competing with these teams. And we got I think the whole staff, I think all the players right now have a nice fire burning, because I think there's some opportunities coming up. And like I said, easier said than done because they're incredible programs, but we also we're working pretty hard at this, and it's going to be a challenge. But I know that there's a good group of kids coming up that we're pumped about.
Yeah, and I'm definitely excited about what's coming up here with CNS and the work that you're doing there at your alma mater. Chuck Wilbur here, being honored by the nation with the first ever NJCAA Coaches Legacy Award. Any sport, any coach, Chuck will always be the first honored in this way, and rightly so in my opinion. Chuck, we're going to play some rapid fire. We've done it before. We're doing it again. We can ask each other any topic, any question. You get to start by putting me on the hot seat. What do you got?
Give me, obviously, Syracuse football starting up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a fan.
Okay.
You were at practice the last couple of days. Give me a couple things that stood out that maybe someone's not thinking about right now.
Okay, no, that's very fair. Let me just grab this. Oh, thank you. No, what is that? This is a note from Fran Brown to not say these things. Okay, so but no, so I will say that I'm very excited for Malachi James. He has done some things in the fall. I think y'all need to be ready. As I talked to him about, I don't think it's an if, I think it's a when he gets in the end zone. And that dude is fast. Yesterday in practice, one of the coaches referred to him as the fastest football player in America during a drill. So talking to a DB saying you need to get hands on this guy. Like you got to put hands on him down the field or he's gone. So I'll say something about Malachi James. I will say that I'm very enthused by the receiving corps. Jonte Cook, the player that he can be coming from Texas, and then, seeing Umari Hatcher return, Darrell Gill Jr., he's done a lot of things, and I think, he can step up in a big way this year. The offensive line, speaking of big, those are the biggest guys I have ever seen in covering this team for 13, 14 years, whatever it is now, since I came back home. Physically, they are the biggest line. Like Syracuse didn't have one 6'6", 6'7", 300 whatever pound guy, and now they have, I don't even know at this point, 7, 8. So I'm definitely excited to see how agile this line can be and how their hands are and whatnot. I'm looking forward to David Reese on the defensive line. He's wearing number 8 because it's his 8th year of eligibility, so he's having some fun with it. So I'm looking forward to seeing David. I would say the kicking game is something that's up in the air. Is it Jaden O? Is it Trip Woody? Fran said some things about Trip Woody recently here that makes you think that maybe he's ahead of Jaden O. So we'll have to see on that. I think they lost a good one in Brady Denneberg to Minnesota. So that's a question mark for me. I would say outside of that, with Angeli, this is the first time that he's commanding a team. And it's the first time he's a starter. So what is that going to look like? I will say that I took from Fran when I asked him. Fran got bombarded with quarterback questions once the decision was made. And I wanted to ask a different question. So I spoke with him about intangibles. And he said that Steve Angeli has made friendships. He's built relationships with every single person on the team. And that was something that stuck out to him. So if they trust him, they believe in him and feel, and speaking of his teammates, and believe that he cares about them. I mean, sky's the limit of if it's crunch time and down the wire and they're in a huddle. If they really trust this guy and think that he cares about them and know that he does, then, I think that can create a special team beyond talent. So I am excited and I am looking forward to it. I would say I'm most excited about the running backs and the wide receivers. And that offensive line. I think defensively there's a lot of question marks, but I am enthused. And if you got a team with Demetrius Samuel Jr. and Jonte Cook II and Malachi James, you could rival some speed out there.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, is as a coach that looks at for this stuff, Fran Brown is special. The things that I talked about previously, you talk about, he rewards the guys that are behind the scenes. I know he talked about Josh Cabal, was a former CNS guy. He's a walk-on. He talked about him last year about how special Josh Cabal is.
Yeah.
Fran Brown gets it, man. He's an incredible coach. We're very fortunate at Syracuse right now.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. I'm going to ask you, because I just did my with Tortora and Elford with a brother of mine, Isaac Elford, did our first Tortora and Elford of the season, and we did our prediction. We did it in the moment. Neither one of us knew what the other person was going to say, sitting next to each other here in the Great Lakes Honda City studios. I knew where I thought I was going. I ended up going a little bit higher on the win total. Isaac and I are probably the highest in the country, besides Fran Brown and that team saying 12-0. So, and I'm not saying that they're saying that to the media, but you don't set up as a team and think you're going to lose a game. What's the point of playing? That's what I'm saying, like having the mentality. So I have given my prediction. I want to know yours.
This is what they say, one of the top 5-10 schedules in the country. Difficult. Yeah. So it's a challenging schedule, and it's a lot of new faces. I will say they're 7-5, flirt with 8-4. I think 7-5 is a safe, comfortable number for me. I think they're Fran Brown and that group. They get them playing way too hard to be below 500. I think they're a 7-5 team, and I think it comes down to their schedule just being brutal. A lot of hard games on the road. So I think they're going to lose 5 games, but I think those 5 games, there's not going to be any really blowouts. I think they're going to be competitive and everything. Might lose some late games, but I'll say 7-5. And if you told me 8-4, I would not be surprised either. But I'll go 7-5.
Well, as an impartial broadcaster that prides myself on not breaking the cardinal sin of being partial, I went down and looked through all of this. I was comfortable with 6-6 or 7-5. I ended up choosing 8-4, and that is them splitting with Miami or Notre Dame, winning one of those 2 games. So we'll see what happens there, but I think it's funny that you said that because you said you're comfortable with hearing 8-4, and that's exactly where I'm at. So
yeah, okay.
What is your next question for me?
You're going to be going to the state fair, I'm assuming, in the next week or so, right?
Yeah, I'll be going. I got to go before I go to Syracuse, Tennessee. I realized if I don't go before I leave for Georgia, I'm going to miss it. So I do have to go.
So what's the first, that's on the checklist you have to get done when going to the fair? It might be a thing you got to go stop to eat. What is the number one thing right now on the checklist?
The number one thing I would say is go support my guy Jim Bell at Ma and Pa's. They're going to be all over the fair. We've been working together for many, many years, and I'm not saying this as a shameless plug. Jim will probably say that I am. He didn't pay me to say that, but sure. I definitely I love their team. I love the continuity. He works his butt off, and so does the staff. JoJo's incredible. There's so many great people there. So I would say definitely go and support Ma and Pa's and their lemonade and Spud Shack, all of that's connected to them. And you know what Ma and Pa's is. It's the snack capital of the world. But the reason why I say Ma and Pa's is you can go to their tent or their truck and get the whole fair in one. You get the popcorn, you get the kettle corn, you get the lemonade, you get the cotton candy, you get the deep fried something, you get the funnel cake. So it's literally all there. If it's raining and you're just going, grabbing something and leaving, that's the one-stop shop where everybody in the family can have something and be happy. But if you want to ask me outside of that, I always get a candy apple since I was a little kid. So I need a candy apple. I have to eat something weird. I got to get something off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And I've toyed with getting gator or shark, and no disrespect to the people. I want them to prove that it's actual shark. And I don't want to eat it and it's chicken and they lied to me. So so I want to get something different. And I probably have to get some type of a pizza frite. I know it's all food related, but back when I went to the fair and worked at the fair, I felt like there was so much more stuff. And now it's more now it's more, to me, it's kind of the food. I bought my first true cowboy hat last year. It's right off camera. Finally bought that. And I always played the game I got it. And I don't know if they have the game anymore, but if they do, then you're going to see me, I'll sling it at I got it for a second.
Okay.
My question to you is, what are you doing at the fair?
Man, I'm not a big fair person. It's everything I hate. Too many people, it gets too hot. But the wife loves it. The kids love it. So they drag me there.
Okay.
There's 2 things that I always want there. It's one of the chicken gyros. And there's another one. It's, I forget what it's called. It's steak with mashed potatoes, and there's mushrooms in it too. It's a little plate, but it's mushroom steak. But both those things are my go-to at the fair. So I got to get at least one for dinner and then maybe one take home, or one for, if we go twice, maybe I'll get it the second time. But
Okay.
those are usually the two stops.
So basically, in order to keep Dad happy that doesn't want to be there, get him the food he wants.
That's right. Right. Feed the stomach. That's right. That's where it all starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to be hangry. What is your last question for me, Mr. Wilbur?
Last question. If you were to go back in high school, what would you have done differently? And this is for all the young high school kids listening too.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell these young high school kids and college kids and people in general, I have never been drunk. That was a choice. I have never been drunk. I don't do drugs. So any of that stuff, stay away from it. There is no good in a high consumption of alcohol. There is no good in doing any drug, even if you want to pretend that it's not important. I would say keep your eye on the prize and stay focused. There are a lot of distractions. But the best advice that I can say I would give to myself back in high school is something that I needed to say to myself this morning. And it's from my dad. People have opinions and people have buttholes. And sometimes people speak out of their butthole. And I think the biggest thing that I needed to learn in high school, and that I want to think that I learned now, but yesterday and today I kind of like struggled with, is it does not matter what you do, how hard you work, who you are, what you stand for, why you did it. You will get comments that are just rude. And there's a line from New Girl that Winston says. He's wearing a tank top and it says like dance my face off or something like that. And he's talking to Schmidt, his roommate, and he goes, I got to go down to the police station. He goes, you can't go down to the police station in that. He said, why not? He said, they'll make fun of you. And he said, when are you going to stop caring about what people think? He said, when I look in my comment card box, there are a lot of people that have an opinion on how I live my life. But there's only one comment card I read. And you know what it says? Good job. Keep it up. And you know who wrote that card? Me. And you know how I know? Because I recognize my own mother freaking handwriting. And so I would say to Daniel today and Daniel back then, people's opinions are like the wind. Let it blow by you and forget that it was there. That's what I would say.
Great.
Perfect.
Perfectly said.
Thank you. My question, it's about living it. My question back to you, Chuck. If you could go back and talk to Chuck Wilbur in his first year of coaching, what would you say to him?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I have gone back many times. That's the funny part. Like, you have gone back many times and said, what would I have done differently? And I think that's who made me today as a coach, because you go back all the time and you fix things. I think you make sure there's rules in place, there's discipline in place, but you also make sure that boys can be themselves too. And not, even though I was a younger coach, I tried to almost be harder than I needed to be at that point. I was disciplined. This is how you win. Discipline, which that is part of it. But you also got to give people the flexibility to be able to make decisions on their own on the field and not be so critical of every little thing they do, because they're going to go out there and you got to make those, let these kids make mistakes, let them grow as people. And you just, if they're making the same mistake 3-4 times, yeah, we got to fix that. But I think you got to let people go out there and grow as people. And sometimes it hurts. You're going to lose a few games doing that. But you're, in the long run, it's going to help help the individual be successful, and it's going to help the team be successful in the long run. So I think you got to have rules in place. You got to have discipline. You got to have structure. But you got to also let boys grow and mature on their own and not be critical of them so they're afraid to make mistakes. Let them make some mistakes and let them grow as people, because that's how all of us have become who we are today, by making some mistakes and learning from it and just not making those same mistakes a second, third, and fourth time.
Great advice. Enjoy the game, have rules, have structure, but also have that excitement and be a kid and enjoy that time. Chuck Wilbur, the epitome of a coach that I would have played for 100 times over. Longtime OCC men's lacrosse head coach, following receiving the first ever NJCAA Coach's Legacy Award for any coach, any team across the nation in the NJCAA. Chuck, for all you do at CNS now, for all you've done at OCC, and for more than anything else, in my opinion, our friendship, the honor is mine, and I congratulate you. I never like ending these conversations, so I will always say that I will talk with you soon.
Appreciate all your support all over the years, Dan. You have a good rest this summer, have a good fall, and we'll be speaking soon.
We definitely will. I'll talk with you soon. Say hi to the family for me.
Will do. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, sir. Coming from Chuck Wilbur, one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We will take a step aside here on the show inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. And when we come back, I'll be joined by Murray Johnson, who played for Ben Schwartzwalder and was teammates with one of my closest friends, Floyd Little. Miss you, Floyd. We'll be back after this.
Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot, Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's KAMP ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-09
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. It is my honor and my privilege to be here with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can go there for sales and service Monday through Saturday. And, of course, you can get a sneak peek of their new and used vehicles at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Shout out to the entire team at Great Lakes Honda City, and thank you for taking care of me for over a decade, getting me in vehicles that are safe, good on gas mileage, and that I truly love to drive. So I put my money where my mouth is, and that's something that is very easy to do when it comes to Great Lakes Honda City. First vehicle I ever had was a Honda vehicle, and that CRV arguably saved my life and protected me from being paralyzed in an accident where I was hit by a drunk driver. So Great Lakes Honda City, more than a car to me. Make sure you head over there today. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, I am honored and privileged to be welcoming this gentleman into the broadcast here for the first time ever on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and that is for me to say a very warm welcome this morning to Murray Johnson. Murray joining me picture in picture as Murray and I have the opportunity to speak on Syracuse Orange Football then and now, playing in the mid-60s for that head coach, Mr. Ben Schwartzwalder, and a teammate of so many greats, including one of my greatest friends, Mr. Floyd Little. So with that being said, for the first time I get to say this, Murray, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Dan. I see we use the same barber.
Yes. Yeah, I shave my own head. So my hair, being Italian and Hispanic, my hair likes to grow very fast. And so within 2 weeks of the hair coming, I always shave it down because I like being more aerodynamic, Murray. I know you understand that when it comes to football. So happy to have you here today. We also got the goatee.
We do. This
got that going too.
This one's coming off one day soon. I grew it when I was starting some cancer treatment 4 years ago, and said when I beat cancer, I'll shave it off, and I've done that. So it's time for it to come off. So all good news.
Well, we're gonna do this, and I hope everybody watching and listening, and if you're driving, make sure you pull over and clap. But, to be taking off that facial hair as a symbolic way of saying, hey, when I beat cancer, I'm going to take this off. It is a great morning when somebody says cancer 0, me 1. So, Murray, God bless, and many thanks that you have beaten cancer. That's a beautiful thing. And
it is.
I guess to start there, you're on the football field, and sometimes you feel like you're having the fight of your life. You go up against cancer, you're having the fight of your life. What did you learn from going through this and the adversity of making it on the other side of cancer?
Honestly, I would have to say sports, athletics, my experience with winning, losing, and just training, giving your best, fighting as hard as you can. When I got the call that that's what I had, we made a determination to be aggressive and get after it. And we took the most aggressive approach, and we won. So that's a life lesson that I carried with me until 4 years ago when I really needed it. So I didn't think this conversation was going to start like this about this topic, but that's okay. We can leave it there, but it is a life lesson, and I just went after it. I didn't try to avoid it. I didn't try to ignore it. You just get after it, play as hard as you can.
Yeah. And, when you said that, obviously shaving that off for, to honor that, I wanted to make sure, because I didn't think our conversation was going to go here either, but just a God bless to you. And I'm happy to hear that good news this morning. Murray,
well, thank you.
Of course. Hey, God wakes us up in the morning. Got to be happy with that day.
Absolutely. When I spoke to you, or when we chatted a little bit in this process, I'm excited to be here talking with you and bringing back some of the past my experiences and similarities and differences between Ben's program and Fran's program. And they're not that different, because there's something in the core of both programs that is universal. And now, I didn't see a lot of the good seasons a few decades ago, because I was on the West Coast coaching football myself, and you just don't have time to get back to Syracuse to see games. But I can tell you that they're very similar in terms of a base, which is a coach loving his players and demanding from his players at all times, with an arm around them, and love in his heart for his players. And I think both Ben and Fran, not that others didn't, but I think Fran has that. I can see it.
Well, and in you saying that, Ben Schwartzwalder, Fran Brown both have something in common: that care for their players, putting their arm around them, having value for them, that's, looking to the human being and not just the football player. You said you can see it. How can you see it?
Well, I've been reading comments on social media made by kids who have committed after their recruiting trips and recruiting weekends. And after they commit, they talk about how special the coaching staff is, how special Fran Brown is, how he reached them like no other coach did. It was a comfortable home environment that they want to be part of. It's spiritual, it's challenging, it's nurturing, it's all of those good things. And just reading what the kids are saying, I learned about Fran Brown from them, not from any personal experience with Fran. And I think that's amazing. I loved hearing it. I've been telling everyone that'll listen out here in Arizona, this this guy is bringing the program back to national prominence, and he's going to do it quickly because he's going to get great athletes who are great kids, who have great foundations in life, and he's going to help them by nurturing that and helping them grow within that framework. At least that's my opinion from a distance.
Well, yeah, and you said that, that you formulated this opinion seeing how kids have reacted to being here, being connected. I will echo your sentiment and say that Demetrius Samuel Jr., who is a true freshman, and Fran just announced a few days ago at camp that he is a starting corner. He wears number 1. He will be one of the starting cornerbacks on the team when they go up against Tennessee, and that he is also a wide receiver on this team, a two-way player, and I think we could see him in the return game. He made a statement when I spoke with him yesterday, and you can watch this video on our YouTube channel and all of our social media. Demetrius had made a comment that Fran Brown is like his high school coach and he's like his father, and that he saw that similarity. So, to me, going off of what you said, when it's, why did you commit? Why did you come here? Why was it the right fit? Some people talk about faith, talk about God, talk about going to church. He said repeatedly last year that LaQuinn Allen Jr. came into his office and they would pray together. So, seeing a coach be so open, Murray, about his faith, about his belief in God, about what matters to him, what does that mean to you as a former player and always a member of the Brotherhood of Syracuse?
I'm proud of that. It represents what I've always believed about Syracuse as a foundation for me in my life. And right from when I was recruited, it was probably February, March, my senior year, 1963. That's a long time ago. Next month I turn 80, by the way. Anyway, we're at a recruiting breakfast at Syracuse, and it's on a Saturday morning in Slocum Hall, where we had our training table during tour days, and a big round table, and Ben is sitting there, and next to Ben was Floyd, and then me, and then Terrell Rowe, and Coach Shreve, the freshman coach, and then Ernie Davis, and Coach Bill Bell, the backfield coach. I didn't expect to meet Ernie Davis that morning. We're sitting there, and Ben, after the '59 championship team, which was during my freshman year in high school, Ben determined that the running backs, or his backfield, were going to wear the same numbers that the national championship team wore. Gerhard Schwades, the wingback, wore 16. Art Baker, the fullback, wore 39. Ernie wore 44. And Dave Surratt, the quarterback, wore 23. So we were promised 44, 39, and 16. And we all ended up accepting scholarships and playing for Ben. And John Chernovitz from Connecticut, who wasn't there that weekend, was our starting quarterback on our Frosh team, and he wore 23. And it was building a tradition in my eyes. It was, if something was good, let's repeat it. Let's bring in similar people with similar skills, similar beliefs, and let's plug them in and make this grow and continue to be the greatness that we've established. And that in itself meant something to me in terms of me deciding whether Syracuse was the place for me. And of course, meeting Ernie Davis, and not many months later, of course, he passed from leukemia. Floyd had pretty much committed to Notre Dame and changed his mind, and we all ended up at Syracuse together for some reason. And I think the number distinctions had a little to do with it for me. And for that reason, if we should ever go to that topic, I think 44 should come back as a number on the field and a recruiting tool to bring in the next great tailback.
You said it should be used as a recruiting tool. I know that when I spoke with Rob Conrad, he said I'll defer to Jim Brown and Floyd Little because they're the ones that should make that decision. Well, now Jim Brown and Floyd Little have passed, and the last to wear it is Rob Conrad. Why do you believe that 44 should come back? We've heard about it being a potential recruiting tool, that it could be used. It was going to be unretired. Well, it was retired, then it was maybe unretired. Now there's some vagueness of what it actually is right now. But why do you believe 44 should be back on the field at Syracuse?
I'm old school. So traditions and simple things like a number that was made famous by a series of running backs at Syracuse. I don't know. Maybe kids aren't that way anymore. Maybe that's not important to them. Maybe it's just important to old players like me who thinks, wouldn't it be great if someone came along and challenged the records, challenged everything that these individuals did, and set new records and brought a team to a new height. If it's a little gimmick like that and it works, then it's worthwhile making it famous over and over again.
I am in agreement with you. I want 44 back. I actually got to see it. Some people haven't, depending on when they were born. I got to see it live in Rob Conrad. And of course, I was a little kid when Michael Owens was wearing it next to Rob Drummond. Rob Drummond had the opportunity to wear it, chose to wear a different number. And I know Mandel Ray Robinson. Obviously, I know the family. So I've been around the fact when it was still in existence, and I fully will call myself old school Toomery and say that we need to bring that number back. I think Fran Brown, in my opinion, knowing his personality and knowing how he carries himself and how he challenges himself, I would like to think that everything's on the table. But I want to go to two number 44s that you mentioned. Ernie Davis is someone that I obviously never had the chance to meet. He passed away way too soon. I will show you something, though. Right off camera in my studio here. It's hard to find anything signed by Ernie Davis because back then there weren't like signed cards. He was signing index cards and whatnot. But this is 23 of 25 in the world. This is a piece of one of the jerseys that he wore. It was for a college all-star game, so it was only worn once. And that piece of his jersey is inside of this card.
Cool.
And,
I see it.
And so Ernie is right over my shoulder. Never got to meet him. Met Jim, met Floyd, close with Floyd. What can you tell us about your interaction with Ernie Davis and the experience you had with meeting a man that so many people wish that they got to meet?
I was a 17-year-old high school senior and quite wide-eyed to see a celebrity college player, at least in my eyes, like that, sitting across the table and trying to convince us that Syracuse is the place we should be, and Coach Swartzwalder was the coach we should play for. That aspect of it, telling us that we're worthy and wanting us to continue what he had been part of, sharing that with us, told me a lot about who he was. He was soft-spoken. He was sincere. There was no doubt about that. There was no sign of, I'm pretty good because I won the Heisman Trophy and you should bow down to me. He was such a down-to-earth human being. You couldn't help but like him. As a matter of fact, I didn't know at the time, and maybe I was naive at 17, I didn't know that he was fighting leukemia. Maybe I was just unaware, but I was shocked when he passed. And I reflected back on, he didn't mention anything. He didn't show signs. He was so humble in his approach to us. It's an amazing moment in time. 1 hour breakfast in time that I'll never forget.
If someone asked you to describe him, like having spent that hour with him, and I know you said humble, there's certain things that you've said, but was there anything he left you with? Is there like an essence of him that you still think about to this day when you think about Ernie Davis?
I can't really put my finger on any one thing other than what a wonderful human being. When you're in the presence of a special person, not the athlete, but just the person, and then you can reflect years later on what he was going through and what he was willing to do for his school and his coach without asking for any sympathy or showing any signs of, oh, poor me. Man, that just tells me so much about the human being. And I'd like to be that kind of a human being someday if I haven't yet. That's pure class and dignity.
It's beautiful to hear that when, all you hear about Ernie is, I mean, what I know is, right, you watch the movie The Express and you see that and it moves you, but to hear someone that was actually sitting in the room with him and experienced the man himself, this is a time capsule. I appreciate that from you very much so. And like you said, you are 39. And 39 is such, people think of 44. 39 for Syracuse football is another one of those beautiful numbers historically. And when they told you, hey, this is the number you're going to wear if you come here, I'd love to go into that experience for you personally, that there were numbers that they said we're going to continue tradition. In 59, we won a national championship. These numbers are going to stay. And guess what, Murray? We want you to wear this one. Just that moment for you and what that meant to you.
I didn't realize at that time what it meant. I didn't realize how important it was to Ben and the program. But I soon learned that it was something special once I got there. And I wore it proudly. I tried to be the best I could be. And as I sent you that little clipping on changing numbers with Larry.
Yeah.
That made sense to me. And of course, maybe a lot of people don't realize that in 1963, the NCAA football rules allowed only two people to substitute on the change of possession or between any downs. And it wasn't until 1964 that they went to platoon football. So everyone on the team had an offensive and defensive position, and quarterbacks and other people that might not be as skilled defensively were subbed for when a change of possession. So it was now platoon football. I was still, as you mentioned, the young freshman that's going to be a two-way player. We went to platoon football in that fall of '64, and I was listed as the number 2 fullback behind Jim Nance and number 2 weak side linebacker. So I had to practice while the others were resting. I was still practicing with another unit.
Yeah.
And I got to rest during games because Bo Nance never came out of the game. As a 2-time heavyweight wrestling champion, he was quite a stud, and he just never seemed to get injured. So I was wearing 39, and then when I became a starting linebacker and Larry Zonka became a sophomore, it was time for 39 to move on to the fullback, and we traded numbers.
To do that and then see the career he had, and then when people see Larry Zonka, they think 39, and they gravitate toward that in his history and then everything he did with the Miami Dolphins. To be the person that said, hey, I'm okay doing this. Like, it's time for me to give this number. I'm a two-way guy. You know, I'm playing fullback. I'm playing linebacker. Now I'm the starting linebacker. I'll switch my number. You take 39. To be the person that was a part of that, and then to see what Larry did in that number, just what that means to you, because you're such a special part of the history, right? I mean, he did everything he did at Syracuse and beyond Syracuse, but we know him for 39, and that doesn't happen without Murray Johnson saying, hey, take this number.
Well, at least I'm the answer to a trivia question. That worked out well. I've got a funny story about Larry. Gary Bugenhagen. Do you know Gary?
I don't. I don't.
He was an offensive tackle in our team. He and Pat Kaloran are good buddies there in Syracuse. And Boogie was assigned. We were freshmen living in Booth Hall, and there was a kid coming in from Stowe, Ohio, named Larry Zonka. He was a linebacker, fullback, and Boogie was assigned that weekend to be his host.
Yeah.
So we heard Boogie tell this story a few years ago when we were back there in Syracuse, and it's always as funny as it ever was. I hope it's as funny when I tell you. But Boogie was 6'2" and about 230 pounds and a tackle, and you didn't think he was going to get much bigger. He was a pretty thick body, very strong and thick. And he believed that to be a successful offensive tackle at Syracuse in the run game, he had to create something that would give him an advantage, and it was the Boogie forearm. Coming off the football, blocking instead of just arms up and the old blocking technique. He thought if he came off with a belly blow forearm, he could kind of wear down some of those bigger defensive tackles. So Booth Hall was a brick dormitory, and it was all made of cinder block. And in the stairwell, Boogie would go in and start throwing his forearms against the cinder blocks and just toughening up his forearms. So anytime he walked up and down the stairs, instead of taking the elevator, he'd loosen up a little mortar on the cinder blocks. Well, when Larry was there as a high school recruit, Boogie taught him how to hit those cinder blocks and told him, if you're going to be here, you got to toughen yourself up and you got to have tough forearms. So the two of them in the stairwell on the recruiting weekend, slamming forearms up against the cinder blocks. The weekend's over, Larry goes home, makes the commitment to Syracuse, and sometime in the summer, as the story goes, Larry's father called Coach Ben and said, what's the earliest Larry can come to campus for fall camp? Ben says, what's wrong? Is there a problem? He says, no. The sooner I can get him there, the better off. And he said, well, what's wrong? What's happening? He said, well, when he was there on his recruiting visit, one of the players taught him to slam the walls with his forearm to toughen up his forearm. And now we've got so many holes around the house, I don't know that I can afford to repair every room he's damaging.
That's awesome.
So the forearm that Larry made famous while carrying the ball started with Gary Bugenhagen, who we affectionately called Boogie. Yeah. And it started on a recruiting weekend.
I love that the stiff arm that we know came from Boogie, like you said, having him throw his arm against the walls and his father saying, "Please get this man out of my house." I love that. I love that. See, these are only the stories that you can tell, and that, I mean, Murray, you made history, like you're making it come alive. There's not a Syracuse player that I'm not going to speak with, right? You're a good person. You care about people. You want to talk about your history. Come on, let's go. And I've had guys say, I was a backup. I didn't play it down. I'm a kicker. I'm a punt. Like, why do you want to talk to me? I said, are you part of the Brotherhood? You're on the team? Yeah. Okay, then let's talk. I love hearing about the history. You're connected to so much of it that people fondly think about, but you look back, like you said, you're going to be turning 80. A lot of people didn't get to see Ben Schwartzwalder. They didn't get to see you. They didn't get to see Larry Zaga. They didn't get to see Floyd Little. And you got to be around all of this. And you are essentially a living time capsule of some of the greatest pieces of Syracuse football history, things that fans lean on. What does it mean to you to look back on your life and say, like, I was in those locker rooms, on those practice fields, at those games, in those classrooms, on those recruiting visits, at those dinners, at those lunches, at those late night game, planning sessions with this history? I mean, you were a part of some of the greatest moments, people in history, and you are in that essence. You are part of that fabric, Murray. I mean, that, like you said, in the moment, I didn't really know when it came to Ernie Davis, like what I was experiencing, or having the number 39 right off the bat. I didn't really know what it meant until I know what it meant. But you are a living testament to a time of Syracuse football history that, in my opinion, every fan should want to know.
I'm just blessed. I'm just blessed that in that moment in time, things fell into place. You don't know what's going to happen. And I was privileged to be around some of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life and experience things that I didn't realize until years later were pretty cool. Let me tell you a little bit about Floyd's first start at Syracuse as running back, which it was the exact same day my first start at linebacker. We had played Boston College and lost in a last-second Hail Mary pass in Boston. And we came back with our tails between our legs. Floyd was a backup tailback, and I was a backup linebacker. We both played quite a bit, and obviously both had some success because at the meeting on Monday in film review, we were both promoted to starting the next game against Kansas and the infamous Gale Sayers, multiple-time All-American. And Ted Daly, the defensive coordinator at the time for us, announced that we're going to do something a little different against Kansas defensively. We played a 5-3 with 2 corners and a single safety. So one of the linebackers, strong side, played like a strong safety to give us 4 deep in the secondary. Yeah. But it was based against the run game, which everybody had, and very few teams passed very much. So it was at that time change in college football history where you didn't really have to defend the pass. Well, the pass beat us at Boston College. Well, anyway, at the meeting, Ted said, Murray, you're going to start at linebacker and you're going to be a monster. And your assignment is wherever Gale Sayers lines up, you line up directly opposite him, 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And if he goes in motion to the left, you follow him. He goes in motion to the right, you follow him. They hand him the ball, you're already following him, make the tackle. And I was thrilled and honored. It was something a little new and a little different. So I raised my hand and I said, Coach, if he goes in motion one way and the play goes the other way, how long should I follow him? Now, remember, I was a sophomore. It was my first start. I was probably still a little naive.
Yeah.
And he said, Murray, if he goes into the locker room to use the restroom, you go hand him the toilet paper.
Nice.
So it was that game that Floyd scored 5 touchdowns on long passes, on long runs, on a punt return that I'll never forget. I happened to be in line on the punt return to throw the last block to spring him, and laid on the ground watching him go into the end zone for his 5th touchdown. And it was a pretty amazing start to an amazing career for him. 5 touchdowns. Gale Sayers was held to less than 100 yards by our defense, and we beat him 36-6. It was quite an amazing day at Archbald Stadium against a great team and a great player who, went on with the Bears and had a great pro career.
Well, and when we look at this, and what year was that?
That was 1964.
So I want to make a note of this, and the reason why I asked you. Because you talk about the fact that your coach says, wherever Gale Sayers goes, wherever Gale Sayers goes, you follow him into the bathroom. I want to make a note of something to the credit of you and Syracuse's defense. You affected his numbers. In 1962, he had 1,125 yards rushing. In 1963, he had 917. In 1964, which is why I asked, he had 633, almost half of what he had 2 years before. So I would like to give some credit to Syracuse's defense and Murray Johnson for knocking him down a few pegs before he went professionally, Mr. Gale Sayers. You guys definitely took it to him before he went pro.
Let me tell you how I took it to him one time. I went into Ben's office on Tuesday after the Monday meeting that I was announced as a starting linebacker. And I said, Coach, they took me off the kickoff coverage team. Did I do something wrong? And he said, no, you're a starter now. You don't have to cover kickoffs. I said, Coach, you don't understand. I love the contact of covering kickoffs. He said, okay, if you want to be on, we'll put you back on. So here we are. We've scored a couple touchdowns, and we kick off, and Gale Sayers catches it, and I'm running down on the hash mark, and he's coming up the hash mark at me. I'm going full speed. There's cross blocks in front of me. A big hole opens up. I step into that. I break down, and he makes a cut to my right, and I just lay myself out. I'm going to hit him with a head and shoulder, just about above the knees, except there's a pause. And then there's a collision, and down he goes. So on Monday on the film, which was run back and forth multiple times, he faked to his left, to my right. I went for it. He faked to his right. I didn't see it. And then he came back to the left, and he actually fell over the top of me. I didn't make that great hit I thought I made. It was Gale Sayers faking himself out and getting me with his first move. So a little later in the game, he takes a sweep to the left, and I'm, of course, going with him. And the defense got over there, and he had to cut back. And when he cut back, I was going about as fast as I could go, and I just blasted him over the pile and out of bounds, and we rolled over. He ended up on top of me. He jumps up, reaches down, and says, "Nice hit, rookie." So not only was he a tough football player, he read the scouting report, he knew I was a sophomore, and he still helped me up, telling me something about him. And I realized at that moment what a true All-American football player was, not just on the field, but as a gentleman that cared about other people. So I put Gale Sayers in that same category. In that same game, there was a defensive end for Kansas who was also a tight end, It was his first start as a sophomore. His name is Sandy Buddha. And I met Sandy a few years ago on the internet. We had so much in common. He talked about how if Jim Nance wasn't running over him blocking for Floyd, he was running over him with the ball in that first start for Kansas at Archbald Stadium. And we've become good friends since that time. And he was a very close friend to Gail Sayers, and he and his wife are still friends with Gail's widow. And we see him every February down here in Arizona, play some golf and talk old times. And he remembers that game distinctly. They thought they were going to come in and have a good game against us, and Gail Sayers was just going to lead them on, and as he had in the past. And they were shocked by our defense and by Floyd Little's performance. So that's a little bit from the other side of the coin.
No, and I absolutely love it, and can sit here all day and listen to these stories. And I'm happy that you're sharing them. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that God blessed us with the opportunity of crossing paths with each other. Murray, before I let you go, Ben Schwartzwalder, we've mentioned his name a few times here this morning, considered the first of the great coaches at Syracuse, the pioneer of Syracuse football, if you will, the person that people look back to. And if you go to Fran Brown's office, outside of his office, there is a picture of Ben Schwartzwalder. There is a picture of Coach Mack, Dick McPherson. There is a picture of Paul Pasqualoni. And I grew up a Coach P kid because that was the coach when I was, paying attention to football and whatnot. Those faces are outside of his office. The first face that we hear, that we see, that we think of, that is any part of anything when it comes to Syracuse football is Ben Schwartzwalder. What was it like to learn from that man?
He was a paratrooper. He was a veteran, and he just carried himself with such dignity. A pretty quiet individual. Didn't say a lot, but said a lot by not saying a lot. He demanded of us to be disciplined. I remember my hair was about 1.5 inches long, and at a pregame breakfast, he came up and ran his fingers through my hair thinking I should get a haircut because I was letting it grow out a little bit. And of course, between breakfast and game time, I got my hair cut. But he was all military. He had standards, and you lived by those standards.
Yeah.
He was a man of few words. We're about to play UCLA at home, 39 degrees, raining, and we're in the locker room in Archbald Stadium, and there was kind of like a long hallway with lockers going off left and right. And we had warmed up and came back in, and they had moved all the benches to run along the sides of that hallway. And he and the coaches stood at the end by the door for his pregame speech. And he told us we were pretty prepared. Coaches were prepared. It was now time to go out and use what we learned and what we prepared for, and just to give it our best. And then he walked past all of us to the other end of the locker room into the restrooms, and we could hear the toilet being filled, and then we heard it being flushed, and the coaches wore gray baseball pants with button-up flies and their black Syracuse Letterman's jackets with black leather sleeves and Syracuse across the front. And he came walking back through all of us, buttoning up his fly, and he said, "Well, I'm ready. I hope the rest of you are." And waved his hand, and out the door he went. And Father Borgione, our team chaplain, led us in prayer. And at the end of the prayer, he raised his voice and said, "Let's go kick the hell out of him." So he was the vocal one, and Ben was the subtle one. And he just led by example, and we just followed his lead of being prepared and being the best we could be and being disciplined at all times. I hope that answers your concerns.
No, I definitely, hey, you lived it. And so, I love the fact that you're making history come alive, and that's what I hoped for, and it has gone beyond that for me. Murray, I absolutely, if you would love to have you back on the show, because we have so much more to talk about and time flew by, but I want to give you the final word of what you would like to share as we talk about Syracuse football then and now. If there is a final thing you'd like to share today, and just know that I absolutely would love to have you back on.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to be back and visit with you some more. My wife Cheryl and I went to UNLV at Las Vegas last fall to watch the Orange take on the undefeated number 25 in the nation UNLV football team. And as it went into overtime, the composure and temperament of Coach Brown preparing his team to face the opportunity to win in overtime. It was such a back and forth game, as you probably remember.
Yeah.
Big plays all over the place. The lead changing hands. The one thing I noticed, and probably I'd looked at things differently, having been a college and high school coach for many years in my lifetime, there was not a big up and down swing of emotion by the players on the field. Coach Fran and his coaches maintained a level of composure. He was always teaching. He was firm and fair and compassionate, and he'd grab a guy and he'd get in his face a little bit, then he'd put his arm around him and encourage him. And the team never got down. And when they went out for the overtime scenarios, I just felt the body language of the players was, we're going to win this. And that's a reflection of who the head man was on the sideline. They were feeding off his beliefs and his body language that this is ours to take. There's no reason we can't win this one. And I think that's the thing that I saw in person that I truly believe about Coach Brown. And I love at the end of the games when I watch him on TV, he takes his young son's hand and goes onto the field to meet the opposing coach, never forgetting his young son and introducing his son to the head coach. Something special there. It's a special time in Syracuse football.
Well, I love hearing that. No better way to end it here this morning. Murray, my best to you, my best to your wife, and my best to your family. And I look forward to talking with you very soon. Thank you today for truly taking pictures and videos that we've seen or we've heard about and making them be so real to us that it felt like we were sitting at that dinner with you as well across from Ernie Davis. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. It's been a privilege. I appreciate it. Look forward to coming back and talking some more.
Of course. Take care and stay safe. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. And coming from Murray Johnson once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a step aside for our final fast break of the day inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. There's moments that leave a broadcaster speechless. This is one of them.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McInerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where He just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily? In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find soccer, hockey, baseball, basketball, football, and more, including Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Pokemon, while supplies last, by going over to GG Cards and Breaks. It's where you get to be a big kid, get closer to your team, get closer to your favorite player. You can get the packs and boxes and try your luck and see what you can get, right? Open up those packs and boxes. When I did it as a kid at 9 years old and 30 years later, it still has that fun, exciting, I don't know what I'm going to get. This is so cool. You know, there's something about opening a pack of cards that's unlike any other experience, and people have been doing it for decades upon decades. I have memories of my grandparents, my parents, my friends. You can have memories today at GG Cards and Breaks. Go and make a memory at a fantastic place that cares so much for our community of Central and Upstate New York and beyond. We look forward to seeing you out there Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5 on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Many thanks to Chick-fil-A DeWitt on Bridge Street in Erie that now calls Central and Upstate New York home. Opening earlier this month here in August of 2025, they have found their way into our hearts here. And of course, they have been with us and our taste buds here in Central and Upstate New York. Led by Megan Sorber, make sure you go over and show love to the wonderful Chick-fil-A DeWitt. You can't miss it on the corner of Bridge and Erie, a giant brick building waiting for you to not just have their awesome chicken sandwiches and those waffle fries, but to be a part of this community building of young students that are going to school at high schools and colleges all around Chick-fil-A DeWitt, led by someone who knows exactly what it's like to go to college and work at Chick-fil-A. When you have a leader that can parallel and understand what's going on with your experiences of life, it can make things truly special and build bonds forever. So for Megan and the team, we thank you for coming to DeWitt, and I look forward to you going out there and visiting them today. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for tuning in Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. However you've connected with the show, thanks for being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. You can also find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. We look forward to seeing you there. And of course, make sure to subscribe and follow us on these outlets. Many thanks to our North Carolinian listeners and viewers and all of those people going out to Brooklyn Pickle on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Head out there today, down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course, and let them know that DT sent you. Many thanks to our team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Brian's Landing, Mother's Cupboard, Mon Pa's the snack capital of the world, Chick-fil-A DeWitt, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Avicoli's, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. Come and see the Bobcats in what we call the Bobcat Buzz, airing every single month here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, telling the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni throughout the year. You will find the Bobcats with us in a way that you've never found them anywhere else. You can go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, go to our BSC Syracuse playlist. You can also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. You'll find the Bearcats every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide, with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining the show to tell the story of Binghamton University. Bunch of great things are continuing for Binghamton in this upward trajectory that they have had, and I've been able to experience over this last year and change that we have been together. They had an anonymous donor recently of over $20 million, and now they just broke ground on upgrading their track and field facility, a $5.6 million project. So many wonderful things happening. They just announced their new president. So shout out to Binghamton University and all the work that they are doing to continue to challenge themselves on a path moving ever onward, ever upward. Binghamton University is with us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. I want to thank you for tuning in today to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Go and see Great Lakes Honda City on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York for sales and service. They are open Monday through Saturday, and you can get a sneak peek of their inventory by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. Let them know that DT sent you. Many thanks to, of course, Mr. Chuck Wilbur, being honored by the NJCAA. For the first time ever have they given a Coach's Legacy Award. That is for the entire nation. That is for every sport in NJCAA play. Chuck Wilbur, the first coach to receive it of any sport, any coach in the history of the NJCAA. The Legacy Award for a coach goes first historically to Chuck Wilbur, right here in our community of Central New York. Amazing. And many thanks to Murray Johnson, who shared history with us in his connection with Ernie Davis, Ben Schwartzwalder, Larry Zonka, Floyd Little, and of course telling his own story of the man that he has worked to be, the man that he was in college, the man that he is today, and the incredible experiences he's had. That story has hopefully only just begun. So, for Chuck, for Murray, and for me, thank you for watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call_DT. We will see you tomorrow, August 21st at 6 p.m. on-site on location at Avicoli's, celebrating Liverpool boys volleyball, who had a tremendous season last season. Can't wait to be back with them at Avicoli's, having some pizza and a great conversation. We look forward to seeing you out there. And for now, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I say God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Take care, stay safe, and remember, outside noise by definition belongs outside. God loves all of you, every single one of us. Know that.